She failed every combat test, until a SEAL commander spoke 3 words. She hit the ground before the timer stopped. Again, another failed combat test. The evaluators shook their heads, but one man didn't. The training compound echoed with boots on concrete and the sharp bark of commands. This was where limits were exposed and excuses died. Only the strongest passed. Only the disciplined survived. She stood at the end of the line, chest heaving, uniform soaked with sweat. Her name had been circled on the clipboard more times than anyone else's. Strength test, fail. Endurance course, fail. Tactical evaluation, fail. Whispers followed her through the compound. Some said she didn't belong here. Others said she was wasting everyone's time. The instructors didn't argue. The numbers spoke for themselves. She tried again, anyway. On the obstacle course, her grip slipped. On the range, her time lagged. In close quarters drills, she hesitated, just long enough to fail. Each mistake felt heavier than the last, but she never quit. Across the yard, a man watched in silence. He didn't carry a clipboard. He didn't shout corrections. His presence alone carried weight. A Navy SEAL commander, decorated, battle-tested, and rarely impressed. He had seen hundreds quit before this point. She finished the course last and collapsed to one knee. No cheers, no encouragement, just the sound of another failure being recorded. The commander finally stepped forward. He looked at her, not with judgment, not with pity, but with curiosity. She expected dismissal. Instead, he leaned in and spoke 3 quiet words. Words no one else heard. And in that moment, everything changed. The 3 words didn't sound heroic. They weren't loud, they weren't motivational, but they landed harder than any command she'd heard all day. Slow it down. She blinked, unsure she'd heard him right. Slow? In a place where speed meant survival? Where every second was measured, recorded, judged? The commander straightened and stepped back into the shadows, leaving her with nothing but those words echoing in her mind. The next drill began immediately. She moved to the start line again, hands trembling slightly. The same obstacle course, the same time limits, the same eyes watching, already expecting failure. But this time, she didn't rush. Her first mistake had always been the same, trying to outrun doubt, trying to prove she belonged by moving faster than she could control. This time, she breathed. She planted her hands carefully. She focused on one movement at a time. The stopwatch kept ticking. On the wall climb, she didn't leap, she calculated. On the rope, she adjusted her grip instead of fighting gravity. On the ground, she rolled instead of crashing. She still wasn't fast, but she was clean. The instructors noticed it first. Fewer corrections, fewer penalties. The clipboard stayed open, but no red marks were added. On the firing range, she applied the same rule. She slowed her breathing, lined up the sights, squeezed, not pulled. The shots grouped tighter than before. Whispers shifted tone. Confusion replaced mockery. She's different today. She's not panicking. But progress didn't mean acceptance. When the close quarters combat drill began, her opponent was bigger, stronger, confident. He rushed her the way everyone else had. She didn't rush back. She waited. One step, one angle, one opening. The move wasn't flashy, but it worked. The instructor called the stop before anyone expected it. She stood there stunned, not because she'd won, but because for the first time, she understood. Across the yard, the SEAL commander gave a single nod. Not approval, confirmation. She still hadn't passed, but now she knew why she'd been failing, and more importantly, how close she really was.
The next day, the training schedule changed. No announcement, no explanation, just a new list posted on the board. Advanced drills usually reserved for candidates already marked as promising. Her name was on it. The reactions were immediate. Raised eyebrows, tight jaws, silent objections. Everyone knew the numbers. She still hadn't passed a single full evaluation. Yet here she was, moved forward. The drills were brutal. Longer carries, heavier loads, less recovery time, designed not just to test strength, but judgment under exhaustion. She felt it within the first hour. Her muscles burned, her hands shook. Old doubts crept back in, whispering that slowing down wouldn't be enough this time. But the commander's words stayed with her. Slow it down. On the ruck march, she didn't chase the pace setters. She focused on rhythm. Step, breathe, step again. Others surged ahead and faded. She didn't. By midday, candidates were dropping. Some limped off. Some were quietly pulled aside by medics. The chorus didn't care about pride. She kept moving. During a team-based extraction drill, chaos took over. Shouted commands overlapped. Plans collapsed. The timer bled seconds. For the first time, she spoke. Not loudly, not forcefully, clearly. She redirected positions, adjusted angles, simplified the plan. The team stabilized, not because she was in charge, but because she was calm. The extraction succeeded. The instructors exchanged looks. That night, evaluations were reviewed again. Strength still below average, speed still not elite, but something else was noted now. Decision-making under stress, situational awareness, control. Across the compound, the SEAL commander finally addressed the instructors. "She's not failing," he said calmly. "She's learning." The words shifted the room. He knew what they didn't yet understand. In real operations, panic kills. Speed without control costs lives. She wasn't built to dominate training. She was built to survive combat. And the final evaluation, the one that would decide everything, was still coming. The final evaluation wasn't announced with fanfare. No countdown, no warning, just a single order before dawn. Full gear, live simulation, no resets. The kind of test designed to expose who someone really was when everything went wrong. From the start, it did. Communications failed. The route changed mid-movement. The team was forced into unfamiliar terrain with limited visibility and rising pressure. Candidates rushed. She didn't. Her breathing stayed controlled, her movements deliberate, every step placed with purpose. She remembered the words, not as advice now, but as instinct. Slow it down. When contact was simulated, others reacted on impulse. She assessed angles, chose cover, directed fire calmly. The difference was immediate. The team followed her without realizing it. Time slipped, fatigue set in, mistakes stacked up around her, but she adjusted, simplified, recentered. At the extraction point, chaos peaked. The clock was nearly dead. One wrong move would fail the entire evolution. She made the call. Not the fastest option, the safest one. The signal went up. Mission complete. Silence followed. In the review room, footage played back, frame by frame. Analysts paused, rewound, marked moments where decisions mattered more than speed. Her name was no longer circled in red. The commander stood. "She didn't beat the test," he said evenly. "She understood it." The room finally saw what he'd seen from the beginning. She hadn't needed strength first, or speed, or approval. She needed clarity. Later, as candidates were dismissed, she remained behind, expecting nothing. The commander passed her and spoke again, quietly. "You're ready." Not because she was perfect, but because she was controlled when others weren't. And in real operations, that's what survives. In war, power is loud, but control is lethal.